Hey everyone, it's Mark. So over a year ago, I made a video ranking Ash's 10 worst gym battles, and ever since then, I've been excited to talk about some of his best, and that's exactly what I'm here to do today. I am really excited for this list. Ash had a lot of incredible gym battles in every series up until he stopped competing in regional gym challenges after XY, so there are lots of options for this top 10. I'm sure there will be a lot of debate and disagreement about these picks, so make sure you leave a comment telling everyone what's your favorite gym battle. Let's not waste any more time and get into this list. Okay, two quick honorable mentions, starting with Ash's rematch against Blaine. You know, the iconic Charizard vs Magmar battle that took place on top of a volcano. Any older fans of the original series will be getting ready to leave their angry comments already. How could I not even have this battle in the top 10? Well, this may have been the high point of Ash's original gym challenge, but it really has not aged well. There's a lot of nostalgia for this battle, but in reality, it's a quick back and forth that's over in a couple of minutes, and Charizard doesn't exactly listen to Ash much. It basically just does what it wants and somehow ends up winning. It may have been a really cool moment back in the day, but there have been so many better battles that have come after it. The other honorable mention for this list is Ash vs Karina. Again, I feel like this is a pretty controversial one to leave outside of the top 10 for some people. I mean, Pikachu vs Mega Lucario is an incredible showdown. It's an all-time battle moment, and it truly is a great victory for Ash, but I just can't put this battle in my top 10. This really just comes down to the start of the match, where Ash was trying to emulate Tierno's rhythmic battling style, which Ash and his Pokemon failed at completely. I mean, them dancing around and getting bodied by Karina to start the match was not a good look. Don't get me wrong, when Ash starts battling seriously, this is awesome, but the beginning of this battle always loses me. Alright, now let's get into the top 10. Number 10, Ash vs Bryson. What gives this battle the edge that puts it in the top 10 is that it's one of the career highlights for Ash's Crocodile, who was my favorite Pokemon on his Unova team. This battle took place one episode after Ash met Bryson, and the basic setup was that Ash's Krokorok had started a competitive rivalry with Bryson's Beartick, so we all knew that the gym battle was going to come down to these two. Before we got to that showdown, the rest of the battle was solid stuff. Scraggy got its first action in a gym battle and took down Vanillish, and Ash had to use some of his outside-of-the-box improvisation to take down Cryogonal with Pignite's Fire Pledge. Once Bryson sent out his ace Pokemon though, things looked pretty dire for Ash. But ultimately, the deciding moment of the battle came when Krokorok picked up the rocks from its own Stone Edge attack and countered Beartick's Aerial Ace in another moment of Ash's genius improvisation. This battle may not be the flashiest thing ever, but it's solid all around, and well, I just have a soft spot for this sunglasses wearing Crocodile.
Aerial Ace!
Number 9, Ash vs Volkner. Ash's last Sinnoh gym badge came from Volkner in Sunyshore City, and he had to put up quite the fight to earn it. There's a whole backstory to this match that I don't really have time to get into right now, so let's just skip to the start of the battle where Torterra and Electivire are going at it. Wait, Torterra has already been KO'd. Well, that didn't take long. Luckily for Ash, Electivire ends up getting paralyzed by Pikachu's static, and after knocking out Electivire, Infernape makes pretty quick work of Jolteon. Volkner's final Pokemon was Luxray, and it pretty quickly dispatched of Pikachu, leaving us with Infernape versus Luxray to decide the battle, and what happened next was pretty special. In a moment that most of the Diamond and Pearl series had been building up to, Infernape was actually able to stay under control after activating its Blaze ability. While I generally prefer watching battles in the subbed version of the show, I absolutely love the dub line when Ash realizes that he and Infernape are on the same page, and he says, "We're cool, right? Yeah, you know I believe in you." Such an awesome moment seeing Ash and Infernape master Blaze. I have to put this match in the top 10 for that moment alone, even if the rest of the battle wasn't exactly the best battling ever. Number 8, Ash vs Jasmine. Admittedly, most of Ash's original series gym battles were not that great. I mean, if you did watch my ranking of his worst gym battles, then you would have seen a lot of original series matches on that list. One exception to that trend was Ash's battle against Jasmine though. I think this battle was really good. This match was only 2v2, and the first matchup between Pikachu and Magnemite was unique after both Pokemon dodge each other's attacks for quite a while. Ash decides to just take the hit and uses that to create an opening for himself, and Pikachu is able to take down Magnemite. The real battle begins when Jasmine sends out her Steelix, which pretty quickly KOs Pikachu. Then it was time for the real star of this match, Cyndaquil. Although Ash had the type advantage, this was still a David vs. Goliath story, as Cyndaquil looked like it had no shot of defeating Steelix. This battle had a lot of interesting strategy, combined with some incredible resilience shown by Ash's Cyndaquil, and quite frankly, I am just surprised that it did not evolve in this episode. I mean, it was cool when it came back and evolved in Diamond and Pearl, but it would have been so deserved to see an evolution after Cyndaquil's Flamethrower eventually overpowered Steelix's Sandstorm, turning what was basically a counter shield into a massive flame tornado.
Alright, Cyndaquil, now give that Steelix everything you got! More Flamethrower! Steelix is unable to continue the battle! The victory goes to Cyndaquil and Ash!
Number 7, Ash vs. Juan. Most of Ash's Hoenn gym battles were improvements on what we got from the original series, but only one of them makes this list, and it's his match against Juan. Now, I will say, this is probably the most convoluted battle format that we have ever seen in the anime. They start off having a double battle, and after Snorunt gets knocked out, Ash sends in Corphish and eventually defeats both Seadra and Celio. Then, the format and battlefield changes entirely, and they finish out the rest of this 5-on-5 matchup with a traditional single battle. What? Anyways, Grovyle vs. Lovedisk is actually where the episode cuts off, so Ash vs. Juan has the rare distinction of being one of only 2 gym battles to ever take place across multiple episodes. The second episode featured a lot of back and forth battles between Ash and Juan's Pokemon, but it eventually comes down to Pikachu vs. Milotic, and Ash has to use some real outside of the box thinking to win this one, and the climax of the battle was way more epic than I remembered it being, with Pikachu using thunder underwater to create this massive vortex thing, which sees Pikachu come out on top. Definitely an unorthodox battle to say the least, but it had plenty of good action throughout, and that ending earns its place at number 7 for me.
Now, Pikachu, use thunder at full power! Pink!
Number 6, Ash vs. Clement. Alright. I know a lot of people think that Ash vs. Clement is the best gym battle ever, but I never really agreed with that take. Don't get me wrong, I think it's the 6th best gym battle ever. That's high praise. I just don't think it's that special of a battle. If anything, I think it's a fantastic episode and a really great part of the story of X and Y, but if I am looking strictly at the battle, which I am for this list, then I can't rank this one any higher. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. The opening exchange between Pikachu and Bunnelby was a callback to the match that the two had in the first episode of XY. A cool moment and great storytelling, but it is literally move for move what we have already seen before. There is plenty of strategy in this match. After Bunnelby gets knocked out, Clement uses Heliolisk for like the only time ever, and it paralyzes Ash's Goodra, forcing him to switch out. Hawlucha is eventually able to KO Heliolisk after some more quick thinking from Ash, and it's actually pretty cool to see Clement's thought process of how even his well thought out strategy cannot stop Ash's unpredictability. Clement's Luxray looks really strong, using electric terrain to its advantage to take out both Hawlucha and Pikachu. Ash levels the playing field in the final matchup by using Rain Dance to activate Goodra's ability Hydration, removing its paralysis. The ending is, well, beautiful storytelling, seeing Goodra, who was just so recently a weak little Goomy, be able to use its Bide technique to overcome Clement at his very best. A really cool moment and easily the best battle that Ash has ever had with any of his traveling companions, but just not my favorite gym battle ever. The ending sequence with Goodra using Bide is honestly not all that epic in my opinion, especially when you compare it to some of his other gym battles, but whatever, you guys don't want to hear me being so critical about this battle. It's still fantastic, I just probably don't like it as much as most people do.
I'm really feeling conflicted. I want to give Ash a badge, but then again, I don't. I don't know how I feel, except I want this battle to go on and on.
Number 5, Ash vs. Maylene. Starting off the top 5 is Ash vs. Maylene, and it's kind of wild to think that this was only Ash's 3rd gym battle in Sinnoh. Most of the other matches on this list are some of the later gyms that Ash challenged in each region. For the most part, Ash vs. Maylene is just really solid. It's 3v3, and the start of the battle is pretty unremarkable, but who remembers that Staravia vs. Metatite of all things had Type Wild play as an insert song? That absolutely blew my mind when I heard it for the first time. It seems so out of place, since we usually only think of Type Wild as something that plays during the most epic moments, but I guess Ash's Staravia mastering Brave Bird gets the Type Wild bump too. Anyways, that fun detail out of the way, the final matchup between Lucario and Weasel is really underrated in my opinion. Most of Ash's Sinnoh team have their own list of highlights, but this may be Weasel's best moment. After holding its own against Lucario, including miraculously learning Water Pulse, Weasel literally blows the roof off the place, and this episode did a great job subtly teasing the incoming rainy weather, so it was such a cool moment when the rain comes down into the gym and activates Weasel's Swift Swim ability. The finish to the battle is actually really unique as well. It's the only time that Ash has ever tied a gym battle. He got the badge anyways, and even though it may seem like an anticlimax for Ash to not win the battle straight up, I actually like how unique and historic that this finish was. Weasel and Lucario were both so good that neither one of them could outlast the other.
Once more! Weasel, spin and use Aqua Jet!
Number 4, Ash vs. Claire. Alright, I was initially pretty surprised that an original series gym battle made it this high up the list, but let me explain. For as long as I've had this channel, the most common and most frequent type of comment that I get in my videos is something along the lines of, I wish Ash would bring back his old Pokemon. For so long, we've all been craving for Ash to use his all-star team in a battle. Really, Ash vs. Claire is the only time that he's ever done anything like this. For a 3-on-3 battle, Ash does not have a much better lineup than Snorlax, Pikachu, and Charizard. Now, okay, Snorlax may be a level below the likes of Infernape or Greninja, but don't forget that this thing is massive, knows a ton of crazy moves, and it can spam Hyper Beam. This gym battle may not have the best action ever, especially when compared to today's standards, but it's so cool watching matchups like Snorlax vs. Kingdra and Pikachu vs. Gyarados. Also, I'm not as big on the actual animation aspect of the show as some people are, so even though this battle is animated far worse than a lot of the other battles that are this high up the list, it doesn't really matter to me. The final battle between Charizard and Dragonair may not be the most memorable thing that Charizard has ever done, but it's still a great display of Charizard's strength, and it's hard to go wrong with the classic Seismic Toss to finish a match. Ash recalling both Snorlax and Charizard to his team for one battle only made this a real clash of the heavyweights, and I think it deserves its spot in the rankings.
That's it! Flaming Seismic Toss!
Number 3, Ash vs. Roxy. When I initially made this list, I had Ash vs. Roxy down around number 7, but after rewatching all of these battles, I kept finding myself raising this battle higher and higher up the list. Sure, not everyone likes Best Wishes, and people probably don't like the fact that Ash had to use 6 Pokemon in order to knock out Roxy's 3. So if this isn't your battle, that's fine, but I absolutely love this one. This is the other gym battle besides Ash vs. Wand to take place across multiple episodes, and it really feels like a tall task for Ash to overcome Roxy. She is one of the weakest gym leaders ever in the games in my opinion, but she low-key may be one of the strongest gym leaders in the entire anime. With a team of Coughing, Scolipede, and Garbodor, you may not think that she's anything special, but the anime did a really good job making each member of her team feel special, especially Coughing and Garbodor. Ash having to use 6 Pokemon to win isn't because he's bad, it's because Roxy is really, really good. It feels earned every time Ash KOs one of her Pokemon. It feels like a big victory because he really has to work for each KO. We even get to see some of the less common members of Ash's team shine in this battle, with both Leavanny and Palpitoad making significant contributions. In the end, it was up to Pikachu to finally defeat Roxy's Garbodor, and what better way for Ash to win his 8th Univit Gym badge than by overcoming his toughest opponent yet with his best buddy.
Impossible. Garbodor is unable to battle. Pikachu's the winner, which means the victor is Ash, the challenger. Congratulations!
Number 2, Ash vs. Olympia. After some controversial picks on my part, I think everyone can agree that Ash vs. Olympia is just an absolutely fantastic battle. The double battle format was unique, the battlefield looked amazing, it's arguably the best gym battle ever from an animation perspective, and Ash has to use a combination of brilliant strategy and great resilience in order to win. Olympia's team of a male and female Meowstic may not seem that intimidating at first glance, but these two are a real solid team. Ash uses Talonflame and Frogadier for this match, but Pikachu even plays a role too, acting as a timer to help Ash counter Olympia's Future Sight attack. This battle even has a fun detail that you may have missed during the climax. When Frogadier is withstanding Meowstic's Psyshock, for a second you can see Ash Greninja pop up in the background, as this battle was really a taste of what was to come for Ash and Greninja, with the match taking place in episode 93 of XY, the last one before the start of the XYZ season. I feel like I don't need to say anything more about this battle. It has so many good things about it and basically no flaws. What could possibly be better than this? Number 1, Ash vs. Wolfric. In my opinion, the best gym battle ever in the history of the anime is Ash's rematch against Wolfric. Fitting, really, since this is the last gym battle that we have ever seen in the anime, what with Ash going on to take the Alola Island Challenge and then enter the World Coronation Series. Again, there's a great story leading into this match, but I'm really only here to talk about the battle, which I think was truly incredible. From the start, Wolfric switches up his strategy by sending out Bergmite first, and Pikachu has a tough time countering it thanks to Wolfric's innovative strategy. Eventually, Pikachu is able to pick up the KO, but it's not long before Avalugg is able to level the score. Just remember that this thing basically destroyed Ash in the first meeting between these two, so it was a big moment to see Talonflame overcome this tank and knock it out. Seeing Wolfric choose Abomasnow as his last Pokemon was quite a shock, considering that it was his first Pokemon in their initial matchup. But there's a reason for this. After knocking out Talonflame, it's down to Greninja versus Abomasnow, and this final showdown gets a lot of screen time. I think the last part of this battle is so good. Once Ash Greninja gets activated, and for the first time really, after Ash and Greninja renewed their bond and properly mastered the technique, it feels like Ash has got this in the bag. But what happens next is truly one of my favorite moments in the history of the entire anime. I will preface this by saying that I was not watching XY live week to week when it first aired. If you were, then this probably was not as big of a moment for you. I mean, the Japanese title for this episode spoiled exactly what was going to happen. But let me tell you, when I watched this battle for the first time ever, I cannot explain the feeling of shock that I had when Wolfric whipped out his Keystone and Mega Evolved his Abomasnow. Oh my god. What? Not only that, but then the battle went on for several more minutes. This wasn't just a quick finish to the match like some other epic moments. We got to see a long, drawn-out battle between Ash Greninja and a Mega Evolved Pokemon. I cannot think of anything that will ever top that moment for me personally. I have to put this as my number 1 gym battle ever. It's just the best.
This is from your heat. Your fire is burning bright. With such an opponent, responding with Mega Evolution is a courtesy.
With that being said, I'm sure you have your own feelings about each of these battles. You probably have your own list that's a little different than mine. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Make sure to like this video while you're at it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had so much fun making this one, and I'll see you guys next time.